The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinsky as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversations going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering room. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it.
The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. Episode number 409 on September 17th. 2024. Tonight's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase over there at SeatGeek. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all of their great sports articles and other great podcasts, such as the Corner Booth Podcast, Rise to the Occasion. The guys over there at the Sports Stove and the guys who are on right now actually live. They're doing a show. I got it on one of the TVs down here in the 1420 Sports Bar, Yankee Tavern North. My guys over there, Craft Brewed Sports. Thank you for making this a part of your day each and every day from all of us here at 1420 World Headquarters. Tonight, fresh off of coaching his team to a victory in the North Woods League, another Woodbat League, Collegiate League is friend of the show, Adam Kowalski, the Kalamazoo Growlers. How you doing tonight, Adam?
Oh, doing phenomenal. Excited to be back on the podcast. Excited to be back on the show. It's been a while.
It's been we talked a couple of times last year, and then you didn't come back up to Canada. You got a different gig. Actually, I want to get into that because I was on the management side of the baseball this year with the Lepers Bulls here in town in WCBL, and you were in Swift Current for a year, and then you were in beautiful Brooks, Alberta for a year in WCBL, and all of a sudden you're not, and then you end up in Kalamazoo of all places. How did that all turn out, and how did you get hooked up there?
It was a great opportunity that kind of, pun fully intended, came out of left field. It was just an opportunity that popped up right around December. Cody Pachaki, our field manager, he reached out, said he was looking for a pitching guy, and it was the easiest yes I ever said in my life.
Just a done deal, nothing, no questions asked. That's it. It's funny how people jump around in these leagues and everything else. How did what happened? Let's not dwell on it. It's not a negative thing. Obviously, you ended up on a championship team. We'll get to that in half a second. But the bounce around that happens, like Brooks has been going through different managers year in, year out, and Rudy was out there with you and Brooks last season. Now it's 2 seasons ago. Well, now it's all just the way it turns out. How'd that conversation go in Brooks, and they decided not to bring you back, or you decided not to go back, or what was the how'd that all turn out there with Mr. Wandler out there in Brooks, who's a friend of mine. I like Jason a lot. How'd that conversation turn out, and what happened there?
I think it was just kind of a mutual decision, just kind of with the way things went. We were off to a very hot start. I think it was one of the best starts in franchise history, if I'm not mistaken, out there. And then things kind of cooled off. And fortunately, right after the All-Star break we had in Okotoks, just wheels kind of fell off. And, it's not an easy decision on any front, to make that type of a decision. I'm grateful for the opportunity to coach out there and it really helped me as a pitching coach, kind of, in a more offensive minded environment like Brooks. When you're playing there 28 times a season, it's one of those situations where you kind of have to learn how to teach guys where, you're going to give up home runs. Let's try to limit the free passes. Let's try to change our approach as a pitching staff. Let's try to see what works, what doesn't, and just at the end of the day, hope for the best. But really, really grateful for the opportunity to be out in Brooks, because our good friend Jake Lindemeyer was out there the year prior,
Yeah.
And he had told me
I
a
talk
lot.
to that joker one of these days, actually. Wasn't going to visit in the pocket in the 1420 Sports Bar. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. And he told me a lot about Brooks, how very tight-knit of a community that, that place is. And I'm grateful for my time there.
No, it's a different place. I don't know if you saw, you probably followed them a little bit through the years. I know you were busy probably with the Growlers a lot, but there was one game, I think it was 32-28 on a blowy Tuesday night where the Bulls were playing the Brooks Bombers, and balls were flying out of that park fast and furious. And it was like, holy Christ. And there was like, you know how the season goes with 56 games and you don't have, you don't get a lot of appearances, and some guys' ERAs didn't really recuperate after that. You can have a one inning where you give up three-run home runs the way it plays out there, and then all of a sudden your ERA's at 81, and you're like, what the hell? It's tough to get that down throughout the season.
Oh, absolutely, and it's crazy because during our season we played in a similar environment like Brooks. There's a town called Wisconsin Rapids. They play at a ballpark very similar to Elks Field in Brooks, Alberta.
Yeah.
315 to the poles. It was like 366 dead center. So a very similar
I can get
environment
one.
Exactly. A very similar environment in terms of, you could be up 5 runs, you could be up 6 runs and still not be out of a ball game because of how quickly a ball game can change in such in such an environment. There's also another ballpark in Wausau, Wisconsin, very similar dimensions, very short field, tall fence, but again, anything can happen between those lines when when you've got the best college athletes and a lot of the best college athletes out there, throwing the baseball, hitting the baseball. So it's fun to watch. And it's funny enough because after a game was I actually checked in on the score, and I could only imagine what was going through a pitching coach's mind. I don't envy that. I don't envy being in that situation.
The next morning when the guys got back home, and I was talking to Ryan McDonald and then to Josh Bergman, the pitching coach for the Bulls, and I was like, "What the fuck happened here?" And they just shook their head and they went, "Fucking Brooks." It was just funny. It was one of those things. You go, "Oh, well, one of those," and the wind was blowing out and on it goes. But it's funny how that ballpark can play out, because then the eventual WCBL champion Okotoks Dogs go in there and the score's 4-2. Like it's just odd how some nights and that's baseball. Like that's just, you can't get away. But sometimes pitchers leave it up in the zone a little bit, and their balls just fly out. And that's baseball. It's funny how you can have. Because I remember doing a game out there. I think in 2019 when I was on the umpiring side of things, it was a 1-0 game done in an hour and 48 minutes. It's just funny how sometimes it's just the way the baseball travels in these leagues. You never know what you're going to get, because there's pitching differs. There's guys who are 18 compared to guys who are 23. It's just different sometimes the way it goes. You get up to Kalamazoo. What was the first thing you noticed in comparison to, not say Brooks per se or Swift Current, to say, what was the first thing you noticed about the North Woods League compared to the WCBL? What was the one thing that you thought, there's something different about this league compared to the WCBL?
I mean, aside from the season length itself, it says a lot about, just how close to a professional baseball feel is.
How many games?
In terms of types, where we play 72 games regular season in a span of 76 days. So,
Jesus.
And, some teams, we had a span of, I want to say 34 days. We played a total of 36 games between off days.
Yeah.
And that's not including like the unplanned off day we had because our field flooded, but we were still able to get 36 games in. The way the league kind of keeps on moving, they're able to figure out kind of the logistics of everything. It's almost like within a day, like, hey, this is how we're going to do things. Hey, this is how this is going to work out. So we make sure we get all of our games in. So that was the one thing. That was the one thing that kind of stood out. I knew going into this, it was just kind of going to be like, okay, this is a lot of preparation. This is a lot of, it's going to be a lot of consistency. That's going to be the difference maker between going home after 72 and, getting to play in that last week of the season. The other difference I noticed, walking in, you're walking into a lot of former professional ballparks.
Yeah.
So like when you go to Traverse City, when you go to Kalamazoo, when you go to Rockford, Illinois, you go to Madison, Wisconsin, you go to a lot of these ballparks. A lot of them are former minor league or independent league baseball stadiums. So it's almost like every night we're playing in an environment similar to Sylvan Lake, Lethbridge, Regina, Saskatoon. I heard draws pretty well.
Yeah, they were drawn about, I think, 2,100 a night. They did very well with their marketing scheme up there this year for sure.
Which is incredible for a first-year team, and I wish them nothing but the best moving forward. That's going to be a good franchise for that league.
Oh yeah, there's some pretty deep pockets on the ownership side, so they don't mind spending to make a little bit. So it's one of those things. Yeah, no, that's the one thing that it's too bad. Like this, not going to harp on it a whole bunch. That's not why I brought you on the show, but that's one thing the WCBL has a problem with is there's some have and have nots for sure. And every team is trying, every team's putting in their best foot forward. Like Moose Jaw, remember last time you were on the show, you like going out to that ballpark, the old time feel and everything else. They've been in the finals the last couple of years, felt a little bit short, 2 years in a row too. Those no good Okotoks dogs. I shouldn't say no good Okotoks dogs, but I think you know what I mean. But they if you get those playoff dates, extra game, you put 1,000 people in an 800 seat building, all of a sudden, and it's minimum $10 a head. That's it's extra 10 grand in your bank account. And it doesn't hurt, right? So it's interesting to see how that all works. The players. Let's get into the players because I know you guys get a lot more D1 guys than WCBL guys. It's just that much better. Like my brother, he has a billet. He's in the West Coast League out in Victoria. He gets billets for the what the hell is the Harbor Cats out there, and he for some reason always ends up with pitchers. I don't know what the deal is. There's probably 140 pitchers out there at one point, but the pitching is just a little bit crisper. Is that the one thing that you noticed about the Northwoods League compared to the WCBL?
Yeah, and what I've noticed too about the Northwoods League, you have a lot of experience at higher levels in terms of the coaching staffs, in terms of the field managers. So a lot of things are being taught, within these 72 games before home games during our early work. We're going over professional baseball concepts, and we're breaking it down to as simple as it possibly can be. So for example, for pitchers, it's understanding what kind of information a hitter is giving you just based on what he's swinging, how he's taking, how he hits a certain ball. All of that type of stuff is information for the pitcher and catcher to kind of dissect and say, okay, 2 pitches, then think 2 pitches ahead. So I start a guy out with a fastball.
Well, that's the problem. I'm going to digest here a little bit, but that's the problem. Like pitchers aren't very smart. Like so, to think 2 pitches ahead, that's asking a lot, isn't it?
It's. I mean, when you kind of break it down to a sense where if a guy, you kind of basically say this: if a guy is not touching your fastball and he hasn't touched your fastball in 2 pitches, why would you throw anywhere else or anything
Well,
else?
because and that's what I'm getting at is that, well, and now I'm going to try a curveball and he throw one in the dirt, two in the dirt, and all of a sudden it's a 3-2 count. Like, son of a bitch. Throw another fastball back. Let's get this game going here. I got places to go.
But then also, too,
They might catch up. I get it. It's just,
and then this helped me as a coach, too, to kind of understand how to game plan better, how to prepare against high-level hitters, and on top of that, too, it's understanding I can take 15 at-bats from any hitter on a spray chart, whether it be from game film I've watched, or I could go back and look at their college season and say, hey, he hits this certain way. So then you can kind of understand just based off the spray chart what type of hitter he is, and then what they struggle with the most. So then you look at how certain pitchers are sequencing them and how we can attack those weaknesses and exploit that type of, game plan. And I will say this, and this is a bit of a brag, I truly, our coaching staff was truly blessed with the best pitching staff in the league, 100%. It wasn't just because we had two guys who were essentially having a horse race for strikeouts. But it was the fact that we had guys who can understand, how to sequence, when to land a breaking ball versus when to bounce one off the back of the plate, how to attack the zone with everything we have, while also still giving them new looks, giving them new things to try and, to try and guess and hope to gosh, they hit us hard. There was one team in particular that gave us trouble, but outside of that, it was a lot of credit goes to our guys, our pitching staff, and executing that game plan. And really, at the end of the day, I just got to watch some of the best baseball in my life for 77 games, basically. So
yeah, I saw that. Like, I was doing a little bit of going through your Twitter account and was hooking up to the Growlers Twitter account and everything else. And you guys were setting some records there for strikeouts. There was one game, what was it, 19? Or was it more than that? It was
20.
Was it 20? Got to 20? That's a lot. That's like the game's different now than it used to be. Like I got a couple of years on you at least, like more, well, a lot more than a couple, but it's the all or nothing mentality with hitters adds to that too, right? It's just a lot different. So if you pound the strike zone a lot more, you're going to get a lot more, and then throw the off speed stuff. You're going to get a lot more success with pitchers because hitters are going up there and they're just swinging. Like I don't even think half the time they even know what they're swinging at. They're just going for it. Like there's a few kids in the WCBL over the last few years that even when I was umpiring and then just watching the game this year's management, that guy didn't care if he was hitting that thing as far as he could. And if he didn't, it didn't bother him. And I think another thing that's changed a lot, and maybe you play college baseball obviously too, but it doesn't bother guys a whole bunch when they strike out anymore. It's not like grounding out's one thing, but like when they strike out, they're like, wow, it's the approach and everything else. Like, well, he still struck out. Like I think it's just a different mentality. Yeah,
and I think also too, with the way I've seen pitching evolve, the way it has, even over the last 5 years, with utilizing slow motion cameras, with going on YouTube and looking up a major leaguer, hey, how do you grip your pitch? Hey, how can I create a new pitch? I mean, you have guys literally creating new pitches within 2 bullpens. And as a hitter, it's hard to prepare against that. But, and so am I surprised that strikeouts are on the rise? I'm not really surprised.
I'm not. Watching how.
But also,
pitchers throw harder. All of them. Everybody's throwing 95, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But I think also, too, and this is where I've kind of understand hitting a little bit better too. Is that there are some strikeouts, they're not built the same. Like, yes, it goes down as a forward or backwards K in the book, but if you see a guy strike out in 3 pitches, that's one thing. But if you see a guy strike out after fouling off 4, 5,
no, like he was there. You know, I get that. Yeah, you can have a good at bat and strike out.
And so, really, at the end of the day, it's those extra pitches that, you know, that as a pitching staff, we try to avoid and so this is where the Northwoods League, you know, more or less kind of forces that, you know, evolution of pitchers where, hey, if you throw 35 pitches in a single inning, you can't start a new inning. So essentially, it almost forces you to be very economical with your pitches.
Well, and that's one thing. Like I was saying earlier, my brother, last year, the kid from Texas, University of Texas, pitch. Right? I should know these kids' names, but you know, I'm old and I forget things. But he was on a pitch limit when he came up, and he was there for a certain amount of innings. This was it, and you're using this kid at our discretion. You're not going to blow his arm out for some cockamamie, and not that winning the Northwoods League is cockamamie, but compared to winning the NCAA championship, it's kind of cockamamie, right? So I have to, he's going up there for some summer work, and then he's going to pitch this many innings, and then that's it. And it's interesting to see how that all plays out. Because I don't know how you guys were this year, but like in years passing, probably when you played in the Great Lakes League, you're there for a certain amount of time, and then all of a sudden your roster's depleted, and sometimes guys get a little bit homesick and they want to go home. They've had enough, or whatever it might be, or their innings limit, or whatever it might be. It's funny, and one thing that I had to laugh because near the end of the season this year, other teams were coming in with not many roster players left, and a lot of the coaches were saying, we got to start auditing some of these grandmas and grandpas getting sick, because everybody's grandma and grandpa's getting sick and they got to go home middle of July. So it's kind of a funny thing. What was your roster retention like? You were winning, so probably kept guys around, but did you have guys that they were there for a certain amount of time and then you knew they were leaving, or was there what was your roster like throughout the season?
So there's a few different types of contracts in the Northwoods League. There's temporary contracts. They're usually 10-day contracts, but they can be extended up until the end of the first half of the season. So it's usually around July 3rd is when the first half usually will end. And so those guys, typically they'll play their, they'll play X amount of games as guys keep rolling in. We're limited to 35 roster spots. So essentially, as guys start rolling in, as guys start to, as guys essentially start to hit their limit, or, then typically they'll either be released, or what will happen is, so they'll be released from their contracts, put on the waivers, and then if nobody claims them, then the original organization can retain that contract.
Okay.
And so a lot of times, so you'll have your temporary guys, then you have your first half guys. So they're there strictly for the first half of the season. Then if let's say we want to extend them, or if they want to be extended, or if their coach wants them to be extended to the full season, then we can do so, but they would have to pay the extra money to do so. Mm-hmm. Then there's second half contracts, so July 4th onwards, and then there would be full season contracts. So there's a lot of different contracts that kind of add different dynamics to the team. And as far as player retention goes, I think we were one of the better teams in terms of retaining players.
Well, you're winning. That helps, right?
Yeah. Winning helps, yeah. But also being part of an organization that believes that, well, one, we believe that when you're playing on a baseball field, you're developing. when you're winning, you're developing. And then on top of that too, to the guys to everyone, to us, to our field manager, and our field manager reminded everybody, quite a few times, hey, this isn't just summer ball. Like, this is development. This is learning how to be a champion. This is learning how to be a winner. And so, you hear a few times and it starts to become ingrained in a lot of those guys. We were able to,
and that's the thing, Adam, is that a lot of in summer ball you hear that a lot, but to the paying public and to the fans, they don't know that. They in general they kind of understand it, but to a lot of these communities, this is the big leagues. This is their team. They don't know that this kid isn't going anywhere. They don't know. They might come to 3 games a year, and they kind of understand how it works. But for a lot of these fans, this is the big leagues to them. Like, this is as good as it's going to get for their community. And I said this throughout the season for our guys. Nobody pays to see a team lose, right? And that's in, like, we're going to get into the White Sox later on in the second segment of this show, but nobody pays to watch their team lose. And winning breeds a lot of fun around the atmosphere, and nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. And when your team's winning, more people show up, and the players are having more fun, and on it goes. And so to say, and we try to get away from that this year, saying that, well, it's summer ball. No, like, this is somebody's big league for the year. And I said to the players a lot over the summer, I was like, this might be the biggest crowds you ever play in front of your life. This is your one chance to be a star for a summer, because you're going to go back to your JUCO or to your Division II or even your Division I, and you're going to play in front of 10 people. Like, there's going to be nights in Okotoks, and you're going to be playing in front of 4,000 people or 6,000 people. Here we're going to get on Canada Day, there's going to be 2,500 people here, and have fun with it. Like, have a great time with it, because you know what? Yeah, a lot of guys, this is it. Like, even if you're a Division I guy, when it's over, it's over. And that's one thing I talked to a few guys about this summer, was like, have fun with it, go out and win, because if you win, there'll be more people here. And then that's a lot more fun. They're rock stars for a summer, and that can be up to them, right? You only get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. It's funny you mentioned the winning part, because for a while, at least early on in Kalamazoo's existence, it wasn't a team that won much, but it was always drawing well, because our front office has always put a fans first, or where fun makes a difference mantra to the experience at Homer Stryker Field. And even walking in on game day, even walking into the ballpark about 1 p.m. every day, it's an empty ballpark, but you see the stadium workers, they're out,
the stuff's happening,
preparing things, they're out, it's very much a lively atmosphere from the moment you walk into the ballpark to the moment you leave. And so at the end of the day, at the end of the day, fans really ultimately come to be entertained. And so, and it's crazy, everyone says, like, we're the Savannah Bananas of the Northwoods League.
Oh, really?
We're just the Kalamazoo Growlers.
Yeah.
From the moment you walk into the ballpark, you're greeted by a player handing out a free program.
I might have to call you as a marketing guy and get some ideas for our team. Yeah.
You're walking to your seat, and you might walk by a player or a coach. You might ask for an autograph. We don't turn down autographs. Well, we might, but we'll also say, like, hey, catch us after the game. Right now we're working, but I'd be happy to sign for you after a game. And
that's the thing, is like this is 1,000 years ago. for me, but I remember playing junior hockey in Alberta here and signing autographs for kids. And I was like, I cannot believe that somebody gives a shit that much to stand there and wait for me to get off the ice to sign an autograph. I'm just a kid, but it felt good, and that's good for the player's mentality too, right? Like it's all the positivity that you can bring. It's just positivity breeds positivity, and that's the biggest thing, right?
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, it's always somebody's first game or it's their last game. So how will we be remembered, for that specific game? And so, our MC Alex, he does a great job keeping the crowd, entertained. He even does fire breathing during the game.
I saw that on your website. Jesus Christ, man. Like I had the opportunity, the pleasure, and it wasn't. Well, I didn't mind doing it. I was the game day host a couple of times. I ain't breathing fire. That's not in my contract by any means.
But I mean, in like second inning, you've got players in the stands with water guns spraying everybody down, cool them off a little bit. It's things like that. Seventh inning during this, what should be the seventh inning stretch. Guess what? We got every kid in the stadium lined up by the first base gate, running around, essentially right around the outside of the infield.
Yeah.
For a full warm-up session. We've got every kid in the stadium doing that. Why? Fans first.
I like it. Yeah. Let's talk about your guys' season a little bit. Outside of winning the championship, which obviously was the highlight of the season, was there a couple moments that you saw that you had the 20 strikeout night and everything else? But was there a couple times you went, what? This is a lot of fun. This is pretty cool. This is baseball. This is what I love about doing this.
Yeah, there were plenty of times. I mean, getting to go to some of the ballparks in this league, like I used to go as a fan, Rockford especially. My pitching coach in high school used to be a pitching coach with the old Frontier League team in Rockford. So, you walk into Rockford and you're sitting in the same spot he did, and it's just like, wow, this is pretty cool. Yeah. Or, sometimes you go to familiar places that you've played at as a Division III athlete, or as, you go to a lot of familiar places, coming from that area. We played a lot around the Chicagoland area, so it was good to see a lot of familiar ballparks and to have family and friends come out for some games. And then on top of that, too, getting to watch high-level baseball, high-stakes baseball. I'd say two of the best games I ever watched this summer were definitely the Great Lakes Championship game in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
We not just the fact that we had our best pitcher lined up for that game specifically, but then on top of that, it was a 3-2 pitchers duel. It had home runs, it had drama, it had suspense. But at the end of the day, we played the most complete team game I've seen this summer. And it was incredible to watch. Or our number 3, he is who's referred to as Captain Growler, Eamon Horwedel, righty out of University of Michigan.
Uh-huh.
Talk about a kid who's been with the organization since 2019. He's been there all 5 years of his college career, and he goes and breaks the long-standing Northwoods League wins record, in front of a home crowd during a complete game. That itself was pretty cool. Being there for our manager's 300th win. And then on top of that, getting to watch, just kind of getting a feel for, getting a feel for the, just kind of sitting back in the dugout and watching our guys just kind of staying loose during the rain delay we had in the championship game. It was a long rain delay. The guy, everyone was just kind of like.
Yeah, I watched the highlight. There wasn't 8 people there when it was all said and done. Yeah, it was one of those things. Not 8, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
But when playing resumed, we had one of our better hitters coming up. Our guys are out in front of the dugout, kind of like dancing along to it. Very loose, very kind of just almost in a flow state.
Yeah.
And just kind of like in the back of my mind, I'm like, we're winning this thing tonight. We're tying this thing up, and then we are going to win tonight. And you have the added drama of extra innings. You have the added drama of big plays being made by both teams with a runner on third base, less than 2 outs, and neither team giving up that extra 90 feet to make sure that they survive another inning. And finally, that moment, just standing up in the first base coach's box, watching the baseball fly, outfielder's glove, and just watching one of our he was incredible, great kid. He dealt with a lot this summer, but watching him score the winning run, everyone mobbing our guy at first base, and just kind of feeling weightless, walking towards our dugout, hands in the air, just there's no other feeling like it. It was incredible.
Well, the Bulls, they came up a little short. We lost in the first round to Okotoks in 3 games, 13-inning loss, extra innings in game 3 there, best of 3. But we won our one and only home playoff game, and was standing with some friends of mine from home, my hometown, Fort McLeod there, and Bulls came back and won the game, beat Okotoks, and a friend of mine, known forever, like literally forever, we scored a run in a wild pitch to go up 5-4 or 6-5 in the bottom of the 8th, and place went bananas and everything else, and the elation of the people that were there, and then I'll get into that, into the players, their reaction when it was happening in a second here. But anybody who says that baseball's boring, they got to get their coconuts checked, because it's not. It's a thinking man's game. I get it. And there are times you're like, oh God, Jesus, it's 14-3 in the 5th inning, and I get it. But when baseball's played at a high level and the stakes are high, there's nothing better. There's nothing better. Every pitch matters and everything matters, and it's so nerve-wracking. If you're a coach or an executive or a fan or a player, it's nerve-wracking. I'm a Yankee fan. I remember you biting your nails down to your knuckles, and that's what it felt like. And with the Bulls in that home playoff game was kind of, and just as you were describing, you knew they were going to win that night. Yeah, we came up short in Okotoks the next night, but that night you had a feeling that they were going to win. And that's one thing that's great about this league, is that eventually, or the 2 leagues that you that we're talking about tonight, WCBL and Northwoods League, is that eventually the players care, right? And they might be there for a week, they might be there for a summer, and then you'll never hear from them again, right? But when they're there, they actually care and they compete, and then they become part of the community and everything else. And I absolutely love it. I love the summer collegiate leagues. I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great the way that the players eventually get a buy-in, because they show up. They kind of know what they're getting into, but when you get guys who want to come back the year after, that's where that's a success to me, because then you did something right? When you have players bailing halfway through or not wanting to come back the next year, I mean, you guys winning probably doesn't hurt to get guys to return, but it's no, I think it's like when people say that baseball is boring, they haven't watched a good game, because it's something else.
Yeah, absolutely. And really just comes down to the relationships you build, over such a short time together. there's still a couple guys from my time in Brooks I still talk to.
Yeah.
There's guys there's guys from Swift Current I talk to on the regular. Watching Kenny Jinks, sign a professional contract was one of the best moments this summer I got to experience. And then next I know Eric Radchuk is getting drafted by the Marlins organization, and it's incredible. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's incredible to be able to see them just as they're starting to figure it out. Yeah. To see them in a spot, where they can succeed on their own. And then on top of that, watching them continue to build off of that momentum that they started that summer, it's incredible. And getting to build a relationship with those type of guys is why I love coaching in the first place. It's the high quality guys, it's the high character guys that truly make this profession absolutely worth it.
Yeah, it's. I want to ask you a question. Why does every baseball coach use the term "figure it out"? If you don't know what it is, players don't know what they're trying to figure out. Figure it out. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you're talking about. Like every baseball coach uses that. And Adam, like I said, I got a lot of years on you, man. I remember some old baseball coaches yelling at me from the third base box. Figure it out, Radlinski. I don't know what it is that you keep talking about. Like, so I think that we got to find a new term or a slogan for coaches to use, not just for umpires, for baseball players as well. Because I even hear like when I go to watch a little league game or a U12 game, I hear coaches saying "figure it out," and the kids like, I don't know what it is. I'm 12. I don't know. Yeah. Figure it out. I don't know. It's weird. It's just funny. It's. Did you have any kids this year? I call them kids because, like I said, I'm 50. Did you have any kids that when the Kalamazoo Growlers hoisted the Northwoods League Championship trophy, was that it for them? Never play baseball again?
It was it for a couple of them. I spoke briefly about Eamon Horwell. He's a guy that honestly should have. Any other year he probably would be going off playing pro ball somewhere. I mean, the way he pitches, he's only mid high eights, and he had to deal with a really bad shoulder injury later on in his career. But if it wasn't for that injury, if it wasn't for kind of like that kind of realization as a player too, it's just like, as much as I would love to go and play professional ball or go off and do this much longer, I don't think my body can withstand it anymore. And it is a very, at the end of the day, I've had to make that decision myself. And in large part, I kind of realized I wasn't good enough to play pro ball. And so for me personally, it was just like, I am perfectly okay with not, taking that chance.
Yeah.
We had another kid, he's going to a serious year. He's at Davenport University, and same type of pitcher, low mid eights, very much control type of guy, will fill up the zone with every pitch he has. He actually was our game one starter of the season, and he punched out 12 kids and got pitcher of the night the first night.
Yeah.
And, same type of thing, just kind of realize, as much as I would like to continue playing, I don't think I can.
Well,
so
one of the conversations I had, like when the bowl season was over, and I've been friends with the PBA coach here, Todd Hubka, for a number of years. Well, Jesus, longer than I'd like to admit. Well, no, I like Hub. I shouldn't say that. We got to talking about, like, eventually for most, and not all, but most, it's just over, right? And we were talking about, I don't know if you remember, Josh Caballama played here in Lethbridge for 4 years, and like really, really, really good player. And Hubkins said it. He goes, you know what? Like that kid got to play till he was 22. You know, and you go, you know what? Yeah, that's not bad. Like most kids are done when they're 14. A few play high school, a few play college, a few play in the Northwoods League, WCBL, or whatever league. But most kids are how they wean them. They get weaned out a little bit, just the way the system is. But he goes, he got to play till he was 22, and then he got to play in front of his hometown. You know, and that's pretty cool because most kids don't get that chance. Like they don't, and when you see the appreciation that they have, and they're having a good time doing it, it's like the community. It's great. I think it's absolutely great when you see these guys but then even some of the guys who were done this year weren't from Lethbridge, and they took it all in when it was all said and done. They were very appreciative. They got to. There's a lot of like the Deer baseball posts on Instagram or Facebook, or it might have been, and it's neat. Like they got to play a little bit longer, and I think it's great. Like I really do.
Yeah, and you know, very rarely do you ever get to go out on your own terms, and so to be able to kind of have that clarity to say, you know, I gave my all. I gave it my all. My all wasn't the best, but I might have got
an education out of it, whatever it might have been.
Right.
Who knows?
And I got to
play in front of 1,000 people or 2,000 people or 5,000 people one night, and we won ourselves a championship. No, I think it's an opportunity for these guys to, and I wish people would understand that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Neat.
And so the opportunity to even coach in this league, you know, the opportunity itself was an incredible experience. Very grateful to, you know, to have gotten the opportunity to coach such high level baseball and to kind of, I mean, dive head first into what it takes to be a high level coach, to what it takes to prepare really for a marathon of a season, because it's not easy. It beats me up just as much as it beats these kids up.
It's tiring. Like I know on the executive side of things, I was one worn out dude. I wish I was umpiring again. Let's take us back to that championship game when it was you guys won. You scored the run. I've seen the videos. I seen you jumping around there. Your athletic body doing the whole thing out there and everything else. What was that night like because a lot of kids probably left the next day or a couple days after. And what was that night like? Like once you got the hoisted trophy and the champagne was flying. What was that night like?
I mean, it was pure excitement, you know, to go through, you know, an absolute marathon of the season, to throwing the whole kitchen sink at a team that gave the whole team a lot of trouble. You know, Rockford really gave us a big test throughout the season. They had one of the best offenses in the league. They went toe to toe with us, and they beat us in the season series. So for these guys to show up, to win at home, to respond after losing in Rockford with all the marbles, you know, on the line, and then to show up the next day in Madison. For us coaches, it was a sleepless night because we had never played this team all season. So we were going through film. We were going through kind of like the archives and try to scout these guys out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we
learned something tonight. There you go.
So, you know, having to go back and try to get a big enough sample size to say, hey, this is what the type of hitter they are. This is the type of pitcher they are. This is what they have. This is how we're going to attack them. And then to win that, to have to wait in Madison for 2 hours to see if we were going to St. Cloud or if we were going back to Kalamazoo to play the next day.
Yeah.
And then to do the same thing over, going through game logs, going through film, going through whatever we had on lacrosse's players, and then showing up on championship day, having this game plan in place to the way
it's the one gamer. That's it.
It's just a one game. It's a 3-1-1.
Jesus Christ.
It's.
Do you like that?
I like it, honestly, because the way you think of it, you tend to lose a lot of your guys towards the end of the season.
Well,
especially when you're making a deep playoff run, having 3 sets, 3 best-of-3 series, you tend to lose a lot of guys during one of those series. Because then it's
the Wimbledon used to be a 5, a 5, and a 5, and it's like, holy Christ! And so basically, whoever had the most players left would win back in the day. One of those. Actually, and I'm so old. I'm so old that I remember when it was when you would there was the Saskatchewan Major Baseball League. There was actual farmers playing that were 30 years old and everything else in this league. How it's transferred from the SMBL to WMBL to WCBL is now what it is. But yeah, no, it's one game. I thought I read that today, like when I was doing a little bit of like a research on this, and I thought that can't be right. One game winner take all. But I'm glad you clarified that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense too because you really think about what time of year it is. It's
now that you
the
see
second week of
August.
August. It's the second week of August, and it's like a lot of guys got to go back to school
They're already gone
the next week or so, or a lot of guys have gone already. Yeah. So, for the sake of player retention, for the sake of having enough players to confidently say we can play this championship game. And actually have it feel like a championship game and not just a bunch of pitchers playing in the field or position players pitching. It's, and it's very much just kind of like, we have the 2 best teams in the league duking it out, winner takes all. One team probably gets absolutely screwed and they have to go on the other side of, Lake Michigan to go play. And for a game to go 14 innings
Jesus.
Before you finally have a conclusion after a 2-hour rain delay, and
just a nightmare. That's a nightmare for everyone involved. Everyone.
Yeah.
Like the elation once you win, but for the people who paid to watch, they're not staying. They're leaving. Not all, but some. Umpires, they don't want to be there anymore. Flights have got to be changed the next day to get out. It's a nightmare for everybody.
But at the end of the day,
whoever stuck around to watch it probably had a great time.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's crazy because there was a contingent of lacrosse fans who stayed the whole night. They drove 12 hours almost, to go watch the game, watched a 7.5 hour marathon, and then probably had to go back the next day. But, a lot of credit to those fans who stuck around. But at the end of the day, too, it's like, the pure relief for everyone, to say, as soon as like the initial on-field celebrations went down, it kind of sunk in where it's like, holy crap, like I'm not going to see these guys
ever again
in a few hours time. So a lot of the guys, we celebrated deep into the night, probably into the morning. A lot of the guys stayed at the field and just we just talked the night away because who's to say we might never see each other again.
Like you'll see, but not as a group, right?
Not as a group.
And that's one thing I've always kind of like when I used to be pretended I was an athlete. When you win, and it was probably great for you guys, right? You win, and but if you would have lost that would knot you forever. right? Not forever, but you know what I mean? But when you win, you're like, you know what? That was great. But when you lose, because I was always, I hated lose. Like I was a sore loser.
Oh yeah, I hate losing too.
I hated losing more than I liked winning. And if you have if you're your last game or your last chance for that would gnaw you when you're especially one game winner take all, or if it's the best of 3 or best of 7 and you lose like the Oilers did this year in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and fuck man, that would just like eat the guts out of you. That
was a hell of a series though to watch. That was for sure. And every time I wore my Connor McDavid sweater, the Oilers won. So
I think it's fully. I mean, people have a conspiracy theory about what happened, but I think it was Game 3 of the Oilers. Game 2, I can't remember what it was. Doesn't matter. But Sylvan Lake was coming here for a Tuesday night game, and the weather was just shit. It was cold and rainy and shitty. The typical Alberta June weather was just shitty, and the Oilers were playing that night. I called Ryan McDonald. I said, "Hey, I got to stay about 7:30." I said, "Hey, you better come down here. We got to make a decision here about what we're playing tonight." He goes, "It's 7:30, man. It's going to stop raining." I said, "Well," I said, "get down here. We'll discuss this." And we can talk about it now. It doesn't matter. But I said to Ryan, I said, "Listen, man, the weather's not good. The Oilers are playing TV tonight. There ain't going to be 8 people in the stands tonight. Let's call this game." I said, "Give Chatwood a call, make up some sort of story to get rid of this game because we're going to lose money having this game here tonight." He goes, "Oh, I never thought of that." Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, let's call this one right now." And what was funny, Adam, is that so me and my wife, we had a little tradition during the Oilers playoffs. We'd go to Boston Pizza on the west side here in Lethbridge. And we were telling that story. And then the people that we sat next to the entire time, they said, "You have that kind of pull?" I said, "No, but we just did it." Like, this is fucking just the color good. One of those things. So, yeah. So the Oilers playoffs kind of – that was one thing that we noticed, because I actually umpired the Medicine Hat Mavericks home opener this year. And they Greg Morrison, I think you probably know him quite well. Mm-hmm. He said they probably lost 500 to 600 fans because the Oilers game was on. Those things. It's just the Oilers, hockey reigns supreme in Canada. It's one of those things. Was there a guy that you watched this year who grew a little bit? We'll get in this little segment here right away and get on to the next one. But was there a guy this summer you go, that kid's – he ain't going to make $1 million. He ain't making 10 million, whatever. But this kid, I like him a lot. He's got a shot.
So, gosh, put me on the spot.
We can say all of them, but then you're lying to me.
No, not all of them. Because I know, I wouldn't be surprised if a few of our guys definitely were offered quite a bit of money to play ball. Gosh, that's tough. Because, it's a lot of those guys were very talented. One guy I would say probably, and I hope somebody gives him a chance. One day I hope he decides to give himself a chance. One of our relievers, by the name of Bryce Brassfield. Truly incredible kid. The words can't do justice. The work he put in this summer, and watching him grow from, he was a high 8's arm, and watching him sit low 9s, watching him dominate opposing batters in the playoffs, watching him absolutely carve up. He literally was working. Little did I know, he was working on a pitch the whole summer, and he didn't break it out till the championship game. He was working on a little EFIS.
That's gutsy. Jesus. Hey, coach, we're going to try something. The fuck you are.
Well, no. I mean, I didn't even know about it until he broke it out in the game. I'm just like looking at our other pitching coach. I'm like, since when did he have a curveball? Like, I know he had a slider. I knew he had a changeup. Since when was he ever working on a curveball? Our coaches are like, He comes back in. I'm like, where did that come from? He's like, I was working on with another one of our guys. He just showed me his grip. He showed me like how to throw it. And boom. I'm just like, son of a gun.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever it is, keep throwing that. He was nasty.
No, it is neat to watch his kids progress and everything else. It's actually no. It's I don't think that like all these wood bat leagues. There's a few of them popping up around. There's some that don't make it, but I don't think it gets the respect it deserves in the base. Like they're all really great. It's like I'm a baseball dork. I know I'll be the first to admit that, but I don't think that these leagues get nearly the recognition they deserve.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's crazy enough, the Northwoods this summer actually created a summer collegiate softball.
I saw that, yeah.
Which is pretty cool to see, those athletes get that type of platform and getting to play in front of big crowds. I think Madison had like 5,000 show up for a women's softball game.
Well, you watch on ESPN, man. You watch that NCAA championship. It's crazy. The women's Division I softball, like it's unbelievable. They got all their songs and they're singing and everything else, and yeah, it's crazy. How women's sports has been given a chance because it's entertaining. Like it's entertaining, and it's a different game, obviously, but man, oh man, it's fast. I wouldn't be able to hit that pitch. Not at like I'm 50, but like you want. I would like to actually. You know what? That might be a thing that this summer or before the girls go home from the university here in Lethbridge, is to see if whoever's here for the Bulls, if they could hit that softball like that. Because you remember when Jenny Finch was striking out Albert Pujols years ago. Like you wonder if these cock of the walk university guys who come up to play here will be able to hit it. I bet you a lot of them couldn't because it's moving quick.
Well, not only that,
45 feet or whatever it is.
Yeah, 45 feet or like 48 feet, and then on top of that, you got to deal with a ball that can drop, a ball that can curve, do a slider, and then you got to deal with a ball that actually rises.
Yeah.
In terms of like not just like looks like it's rising, like actually rising.
Actually rising. Because a riser actually is just flat. Like it's just.
It's incredible.
It is. It's incredible.
I couldn't touch that. Well, granted, I'm a pitcher by trade, so
I wouldn't even attempt.
But
I wouldn't attempt. So what are you doing? We'll take a little break here. But what are you doing now?
So I'm currently at Shawnee State University in Portsmouth, Ohio. Nice little NAIA school. Christ. Yeah,
you must the air miles and everything you must put on and everything else. The miles on your vehicle. You must drive a Toyota or something. Fucking.
I got a Jeep.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, that's right.
Drove that sucker to Canada twice. So.
700,000 kilometers on it now. Yeah.
Oh, but easy.
Or miles, sorry. Yeah, for our Americans.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
So Shawnee State, what do you got going on there?
So we just started inter squads. The big emphasis for the fall is just development. And then on top of that, bonding as a team and just making sure that we get the basics down, that we can do the basics the best. And on top of that, just going out, making sure we're ready to compete come February. So, I'm personally excited to, come back to the NAIA level to kind of help out with Coach Ehlers and, the rest of our staff, wherever I'm needed. And so it truly is incredible. It's an incredible opportunity to be back in the college game.
No, it's I love it. Like, it's being around the game. It's a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes I don't like, but when you get down to the thing, it's baseball supposed to be fun, and I think you have that spirit about things about it. It's fun. Like I've been on the field with you a few times over the few years there in the WCBL, and you enjoy it. You take a lot of appreciation when your team wins, and you take the highs for the highs and lows for the lows. No, it's great. Like, it's so fun when we get, like, I'm very fortunate that I got to find a career in this thing, and you as well. Like, it's pretty great. It's pretty great to be around the game of baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm finding a hard time believing it's already year 6, into this, and getting the coach in one of the top summer leagues in the world to help coach some of the best baseball players, some of the best up and coming baseball players in the college game. And then on top of that, getting to go to Western Canada and experiencing that, and actually still wanting to go back because I may be making a couple trips out pretty soon.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, really, I don't think I would want to be anywhere else than, in the dugout somewhere, because at the end of the day, I get to do what I love. I basically haven't worked a day in my life in the last 6 years. And the life lessons and getting to help out in any way I can, really has been the most rewarding part about getting to do what I do.
There's days where I get a little poopy, I guess you could say it. And then I walk out in the Spitz Stadium, because I've been going to Spitz since I was a kid back with my grandfather back in 1979, watching the Lethbridge Dodgers play. Steve Sachs and the like were playing for the Dodgers back then in the Pioneer League. That's how old I am, Adam. That's all. I'm old. So I've been going to that place for a lot of years. And there's days, like I said, when I get a little bit poopy, and then I sit at my desk and I go for a little walk on the stadium, on the field, or I walk in the concourse, and I go, you know what? This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Like, I get to work. I get to work in baseball, and it's something I've always loved. It's pretty great. It is. It's pretty great. There's times where you don't like it so much on the executive ends of things, but I tell you what, man, like, when the games are happening and the people are like, the people in the crowd are smiling and having a good time, and then afterwards, like, I'm sure you saw it as well with people who are executive on your end of the world with the Growlers. When the team would win and on, they would almost like, we built this. Like, this is fun. This is from the on-field guy to the ticket people. They're all part of it. And then when the crowd's clapping and having a good time, and then you on the field probably like, this is so great. It's so great. Yeah.
Yeah,
because it's a long way removed from your college team probably, and especially a long way removed from if you played Legion baseball or Little League baseball, wherever it might have been, and you get to a certain level and you get to be a big leaguer for a season. Even though it's not the big leagues, but you get to be a big leaguer for a season, and it's pretty great.
Yeah, absolutely, and really, there's no other experience quite like it, especially when, even as an opposing team, you're walking in the ballparks and kids are like, can you sign my baseball? Can you sign my hat? It's like, yeah, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it might not mean much, but to that little kid, to whoever it is that asks for the autograph, to ask for a picture,
it's everything.
It's everything. It's memories, and especially, and especially, the way the Kalamazoo Growlers organization runs things. So, our owner is very hands-on with the on-field stuff. He, especially like with rain delays, with all that stuff, he's one of the first people on the field because, hey, let's get this game going. Let's keep this party going. But getting to work for an organization that values development, that values, things the way the Kalamazoo Growlers do. Because honestly, I wish I had played there as a player.
Yeah.
I wish I had played there as a player. I would have loved it. Not just because of the player dances, obviously. Well, it was fun. It was fun chirping at some of the guys during the dances, but the guys were genuinely enjoying themselves,
and they appreciate it, right?
Yeah,
and like I said earlier, like you get to be a star for a summer. Like it's
the kids do. I get to help with the behind the scenes work. Yeah. I get to kind of do.
The players get to be a star for a summer, and it's
right, exactly.
Pretty cool. No, it's pretty cool. No.
And on top of that, you get to rub elbows with some of the. You get to work with some of the best minds in baseball. A lot of the guys in the league, a lot of managers in the league are professional scouts themselves.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of conversations that are had. Like I had some conversations with people this summer. I was like, this is pretty neat. Yeah. Because my wife was like, you talk. Yeah, I talked to that person, this person. Yeah, it's kind of neat. So.
Yeah. And, even like, running in the scouts, that you met over the summer, catching up, having them congratulate you. And even then, it's just kind of like, another day at the office. But it's pretty cool to kind of dive headfirst into that world of professional baseball, to dive headfirst into that world of high-level baseball. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just development for the players, it's development for the coaches as well.
Yeah.
And so my experience in Kalamazoo honestly was second to none in terms of how I see, how to dissect a game, how to see the finer moving parts, and to understand kind of the finer details of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So you really start to gain an appreciation for what a lot of these guys do for a living, even being paid by major league organizations to help them win a World Series.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
It's actually crazy. It's so crazy news. We'll take a little break here. We'll talk about your Chicago White Sox, how things are going here. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for Mirror Sports, talking a whole lot more. This segment was brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save $20 on your
SeatGeek presents Boomstick Lady. SeatGeek helps her find the perfect seat so she can sit where her boomsticks make the biggest boom. Oh, okay. SeatGeek handles the tickets so fans can fan.
This segment of the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more, is brought to you by Righteous Felon Jerky. Go to righteousfelonjerky.com. Use promo code Belly Up for 15% off the best jerky in the land over there at Righteous Felon Jerky. It's good. Like I've actually indulged in that quite a bit. I got a few taster packs there, and I didn't even let my wife have any. It was so good. But anyways, Adam, I had you on the show, I think it was a year and a half ago now. We're talking about, we did the ballpark tour about the Chicago White Sox and what is it, Century Bank or Citizens Trust or who knows, but it's United, I don't know what it's called anymore there.
Guaranteed rate.
Guaranteed rate at Comiskey Field. And the Chicago White Sox are about to go down as one of the worst teams. And this isn't it's not your fault. As one of the worst teams in professional baseball history. What I know you were busy with the Growlers all summer long, but what was your thoughts as the losses kept piling up? And it's not a surprise, but it's got to be a surprise when you get to 115. Actually, they got a little bit of a 3-game winning streak going on. They were to watch themselves, but 115 losses. That's tough to do, man.
Yeah.
Exasperated.
I am at a complete loss for words, just really how the season has turned out. And actually, I just read something. Apparently, within the last part of the season, they played the Los Angeles Angels, I believe 6 times total.
Yeah.
The White Sox need to win 6 or more games to guarantee themselves to not be the worst team in the MLB, whereas the Angels are essentially in danger of losing the most games in franchise history. So there's a little bit at stake here going down the home stretch of the season here.
It's unbelievable. Like a franchise been around since 1902. I think I read today that it gets this bad. And yes, you got ownership problems and on it goes, but it's not like the American League Central is a juggernaut.
No, and you kind of notice it with each division, whether it be American or National League. I remember at least 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, the NL Central was the joke of the MLB. Or then you have the AL East one year. You have the NL West for the longest time. So it's just kind of like, it kind of happens in cycles and eventually shifts to a different league. But it has been particularly bad when just about every team in the division is above 500. And the one thing that's keeping the AL Central from, or essentially like the AL Central is like one of the worst. Why? Because of the White Sox. And there's
51 games back. Like you can't even, like, if you had a person who didn't understand baseball, they would say that doesn't sound very good. Like, how does it? They won what, 2005? They won the World Series.
Yeah,
right?
2005.
2005, and it hasn't been close since. How did it get to this point, in your opinion? I mean, we're not in the inner workings of that organization. Maybe they should get me and you running that one too, and we'll see how that goes. But how do you get to that point where they're, and it's not even a laughing stock. It's just a forgotten thing. Like, nobody cares. Like, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Won a World Series. And I mean, am I surprised? Not really, because when you have 2 franchises in the same professional league, it's like the New York Yankees and the New York Mets. For the longest time, who do you think of when you think New York? The Yankees. The Mets are kind of like, you have that small contingent, like, oh, you think of the Mets? Like, well, yeah, but everyone else thinks about the Yankees.
Jeter's in that. They're the Mets.
Yeah. Oh, fun little Kalamazoo fact. The 2 best things that's ever come out of Kalamazoo: the best fisherman in the world and the best shortstop in the world.
There you go. I'm such a Jeter fanboy. I'm surprised I didn't bring that up. Actually, I probably should have, but I tried to let my Yankee fandom go so we could talk about your Growlers a little bit and not talk about Jeter. But yeah, you must have drove by his childhood home.
They have. I mean,
there's not a sign, a neon sign saying Jeter lived here.
I don't think there is. Like, there might be something, but it's kind of like on a low. It's kind of like on a low, kind of like radar thing, because
that's how his whole career was. Like, he didn't.
Yeah, kind of like low key. Exactly. It's just kind of, I'm just here to be the best shortstop, and like, I'm just here to, give our team the best chance. So, but I mean, should there? I think so. I mean, who's to say?
I'd be selling tickets. His parents wouldn't even know. Like, this is house. Anyways,
but back to
back to that White Sox thing. Is there? I read something. I mean, internet. Who knows what the fuck's true?
Yeah.
But is this something that ownership is making sure? Because I did read for sure that they want to lower payroll. Is this the same thing, Adam? Do you think that the Oakland A's ownership did, said, we're going to force this team to leave town. Because if we lose, no one comes. We can say we're leaving, we're going, we're leaving, and TV and on it goes. Because you hear about Nashville a lot. You hear about Portland, Oregon a lot. Is this a thing? It'd be sad because the White Sox have been around since 1902. I mean, Jesus, they have a movie made after them with the 8-man out. And the White Sox have been around forever. But is this like what they're trying to do? Because franchises, rich people are stupid. They'll buy stuff and they'll relocate it. And
I don't think they're stupid. I think it's by design.
Not stupid, but you know what I mean. Like rich people they'll blow money like no one's business. Do you think what the ownership in Chicago is doing is the same thing the guy in Oakland did, saying, you know what, I'm going to move this team and make some money?
I think they're trying to pull what the Chicago Bears are doing. So what essentially has been happening, like, yes, he's been kind of been flirting with Nashville a little bit. He did the same thing in 1993 when the Tampa Bay franchise was trying to get, when Tampa Bay was trying to get a franchise going. Yeah. They're like, hey, who wants to come Tampa Bay? Hey, well, Jerry was with the White Sox when that happened, and it almost happened. It's almost like with the Tampa Bay Rays wanting to go back to Montreal or wanting to do half-seas with Montreal.
That was a stupid idea.
Well,
how that even got publicized was stupid.
I still wonder that too. Just even logistically thinking, like, it's
like, well, I have bad ideas, but I don't let it out to the public. I say, okay, this is a bad idea. All right.
Well,
like
you
pause, react. You go, maybe I shouldn't talk about this.
Well, then again, Montreal tried going to Puerto Rico, for a while there, and then they wound up going to Washington, D.C. anyways.
Yeah.
So, to kind of get back, the White Sox are trying to purchase a strip of land closer to downtown Chicago so that they actually have a skyline view, kind of in the backdrop.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of pushback in terms of the fan base. There's a lot of pushback in terms of, like, why are we doing this? And it's the same thing with the Bears going half-seas with Arlington Heights and then trying to say, like, oh, well, we'll just renovate Soldier Field to going back. You know what? Let's go back to that Arlington Heights. Let's go back to Arlington Heights idea. Like, choose something, please.
No, it's crazy and then to say that they're going to lower their payroll. I know I should have probably looked it up, but
lower their payroll, and then on top of that, you want Chicago taxpayers, Cook County taxpayers, to pay for a new stadium, to go half-season on a new stadium. It's like, why should we? Why should we vote on this? Why should we want?
You're a billionaire. You're fine.
You have no incentive to put together an attractive product at this point. And so it's like, White Sox slashing payroll. Like, White Sox have normally been kind of middle of the pack in terms of payroll, but it's like, it's trying to get a bargain version of an absolute MLB superstar. If I want to get Chris Sale again, why go after Chris Sale and pay, $200 million for him when I can go and try and develop the next Chris Sale, or I can go and find a guy who puts up similar numbers to Chris Sale for a much cheaper price.
Like, I'm not saying go and spend Yankee money or go and spend Dodger money. Or I'm not going to whatever, but you eventually got to be competitive,
right?
Like a holy diamond jubilee, that's a lot to not even care,
right?
And they actually had a good crowd this weekend. Like, Oakland was there. They swept Oakland somehow, which is weird, but it's just like to not care and then expect and then expect it to grow.
Get
Like I said
better.
earlier on, no one pays to watch the home team lose. Nobody.
Right. And it's like you look on Ticketmaster, you look on your ticket app, and it's like, $1 for a 500 level ticket, or $20 for an outfield seat.
And there's
like,
still no one going.
right. Because and also too, you got to think about the demographic of where the White Sox are at. It's a very blue collar area. Who in their right mind is going to spend their discretionary dollars when they're already being alienated on all fronts? There's not an attractive product. I'm getting alienated because I have to pay $40 for parking. I am getting alienated with all of these, junk fees. I'm getting alienated by the county taxes, by county and city taxes, whether it be entertainment taxes or, whatever. And then on top of that, I'm getting absolutely screwed on my wallet, having to pay for, food and merchandise and tickets and
$14 beers and $18 hot dogs and on
it's
and on
ridiculous.
it goes for a 35-win team.
Now, I will say, for the contingent of fans, that will party out and they will go out and tailgate. They will have a good time anyways because, hey, we're White Sox fans. We're going to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
But to say in a statement that you are disappointed with the way the season has gone, you've already fired your manager and half of the other coaching staff, including another former MLB manager, a former Blue Jays manager, and then on top of that, and not even like 2 or 3 days later, your GM goes out and says, we're not looking to spend money in free agency. We're looking from within. Like, why? Why? It is absolutely asinine that you're getting multiple different messages. You're getting different vibes from other, from essentially figures who should be kind of like, hey, we need to figure out what the hell we're doing. We have one of the smallest analytics departments. We have one of the smallest scouting departments. What are we doing? We're just going around in circles, and we're wondering why. Yes, we have one of the best farm systems. That doesn't mean shit.
Prospects are just prospects.
Right. It doesn't mean shit if they can't come up to the MLB level.
You don't know. Like I've said this 1,000 times. I've been doing this stupid show for 4 years now, and then spouting my vitriol for fucking 50. Prospects are just prospects. You have no idea what you're getting. Like you could get a kid. You don't know if he's going to do this, no matter what sport it is. You don't know what you're getting when they get to the big leagues or the NHL level. You have no idea.
Right, absolutely.
There's a few, obviously, but in general, like it's a fucking crapshoot. You don't know what's going on between some kids' ears. You give him $1 million, he might end up fucking on the streets. You have no idea.
Right, absolutely.
Who was the kid hit the home run in the Field of Dreams game a couple years ago? White Sox.
Oh, Tim Anderson.
Gone.
Right, and he got DFA'd by the Marlins.
Like actually out of baseball.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. And you got Jose.
Like that's
Abreu,
what it is, right?
Right. You have one. Then on top of that, Jose Abreu, one of the most consistent first basemen. I don't know what it is about the White Sox and developing first baseman, but my God, do you have a great first baseman and team captain in Paul Konerko, in Frank Thomas, in Jose Abreu, and then you go off and you insult him and you let him walk to the Astros, and then next thing you know, he's batting bingo numbers and he's out of baseball. Yeah. You got Jake Berger struggling with the Marlins. You have, guys who should be superstars, guys who should be great. You lowball them, you chase them out of town because it's like, oh, well, sorry, we're not going to spend much, and we can find a player with your skill set for much less, and then neither person pans out. And to have Andrew Benintendi as the highest paid player in White Sox history, and the last time Jerry Reinsdorf opened up his wallet like that was for Jermaine Dye. What are we doing?
Like I'm a Yankees guy, obviously. As you can see on my shoulder there.
I love Benintendi. I love him.
Good player. Good player. I'd have him on my team any day. He played with the Yankees for a little bit. To give him more than $15 an hour is a bit of an overpay. He's a good player. He's a good player, but to make him the face of your franchise and pay him, what the hell? He's a good player. Not a great player by any means.
And then to trade Michael Kopech for nothing, to get rid of, to essentially say, you have Garrett Crochet, who is one of the best pitchers in the MLB right now. The only guy winning on the White Sox pitching staff. The only guy, who can give 5-6 innings consistently before the bullpen somehow falls apart. Am I surprised? Not really, because Kopech isn't there to anchor it down. But, you don't – but it's just what are we going to do with him? What are we going to do? Why are we signing Martin Maldonado? Why are we signing, so-and-so when, there was much more cost-effective, much better options, in free agency last year. And then you're going to go out and say, oh, yeah, we're not going to spend much on free agency. Well, what are we going to do? Are we going to have another 100-plus loss season?
Yeah. They said that they're going to cut payroll.
Exactly. Why?
It's actually gross, Adam. It's actually gross the way that these owners, because they get a large chunk of change for the MLB app and on it goes, and they get revenue sharing, everything else. It's holy Christ! What is going on here? And then to cry wolf that no one's coming to their building. Well, you won 35 fucking games, and half of them weren't at home. You win 17, 18, 19 games at home over 81. And that's not. And you know what? What's shitty? A lot of those guys who played this year for the White Sox, they thought they were playing the big leagues, and they didn't get a chance to play in the big leagues.
Right. Well,
when they went to other stadiums, everything else, they got to play in the big leagues. But when you're playing in front of fucking 2,000 people, in Oakland's the same thing, right? And I don't know if you saw that there was a rain out. I can't remember if they were playing. There was a rain out on a Wednesday night. So there was an afternoon game that wasn't scheduled. Mm-hmm. There weren't 12 people in stands.
I remember seeing
for the day-night doubleheader. It was only about 3 weeks ago. Oh my God.
And then on top of that, you're gonna take away signs that say "sell the team," that make fun of the team, that make fun of the owner. It's absolutely rich, to then go out and make a statement saying I'm disappointed in the way the season's gone. No, this is exactly how you want the season to go.
I think he wants. I think he wants to sell the team. I think he wants to move, have an option to maybe not move the team, but get someone from maybe Nashville to say I'm in, and then sell the team to keep him in Chicago and sell it for fucking another $1 billion.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just and you look at the way the values of these franchises have skyrocketed even in the last 5 years, and it's you look at it, it's just really you're gonna cry poor here. The value of your franchise just increased twofold.
He'll be fine.
You'll be just fine. And I understand there's a lot of overhead. I understand the kind of hidden costs of running that type of business. And I understand, hey, it's tough decisions you got to make. But also, as a fan, as somebody who wants to be a fan, I didn't even bother watching any games this summer because, well, one, I made a rule not to watch sports after sports unless it was Stanley Cup playoffs. That was a different one. Yeah. I made sure we had the Oilers and Panthers game on one of the in one of the
we actually
in outfield. So
game, I think it was game 4. We were the Bulls were playing Edmonton on a Friday night, and we actually had the game up on our video board, the Oilers game. And the Bulls game started at 7. And we put it up on the board, so when the players were playing catch in the outfield and all the stuff and that was happening before, the players were watching the game. Both teams were watching the game, and the Oilers scored, and it was actually really cool. It was actually really, really cool. But we couldn't have live action up on the video board when the game was happening. So
of course, because everyone would just be standing there watching. And it's like, the Oilers scored. Yeah,
Kabiyama would be watching the game and the fly ball goes center field. He's watching the video board, so no, it was neat. But yeah, anyway, sorry about that. It was just last question, then we'll get into. I want to ask you a question. We'll do a thing, but could you see the Chicago White Sox ever moving?
I think the likelihood of that continues to increase, possibly. I don't, but then again, you have it's not that the White Sox don't have loyal fans. I mean, White Sox, they do. Absolutely they do. And I'm sure if the White Sox ever threatened to move, guess what? There would be similar, kind of reverse protests going on with what the Oakland A's are experiencing. Out of respect for my buddy who plays for that organization, that's probably the last I will say about that organization. But you'll probably see something similar where you have essentially a reverse protest, where you'll have the stadium sell out just out of spite. Why? Because why would you want to move? Why would you want to go to anywhere else but Bronzeville? Why would you want to go anywhere else but the south side of Chicago? The dynamic, a lot of it is, the way I kind of see it too, the socioeconomic dynamic between the White Sox and the Cubs. The reason why the Cubs essentially are Chicago's team, north side's a little bit more of the affluent crowd. Mm-hmm. The people that can go, can skip work and they can go and watch a game. In the afternoon.
Tourists too, like the Cubs, right?
Tourists, yeah, same thing. It's the same thing with the Yankees.
I 100%.
I've been to plenty of Cubs games too. I enjoy going to a Cubs game every so often. Will I root for the Cubs? No, but if it's baseball,
the only time I went to Wrigley, the Yankees swept the Cubs the year after they won the World Series. Fuck that!
Yeah. And it's just, growing up in such a rich area for professional baseball of all kinds and all levels, as I've grown older, I've grown a lot more appreciative of being able to support 2 franchises, to be able to support multiple independent league franchises, to be able to have so many options within our radius of where I'm originally from that I could just say, got a Chicago Dogs game going on tonight? Hey, let's go there. Hey, let's go to a White Sox game. Hey, let's go to a Cubs game. Let's go to a Joliet Slammers game. Let's go to a Schaumburg Boomers game. Let's go to Milwaukee. So it's
you guys have a pretty big area there. You can cover a lot of games, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's really cool. And on top of that, all the Northwoods League teams that you can go to, all of the, college baseball that you can watch at all levels, junior college, Division III, Division I. There's so many options, and Chicago is always, coming from the area, Chicagoland area. I've grown to be more appreciative of that type of culture where we have so many options available to us. Mm-hmm. We get to watch
Oh, I'm jealous. Don't get me wrong, I'm jealous.
It's pretty cool. But also, too, it kind of helps to have, one town, one game, one team in town that everyone can go support. So that too would be pretty nice.
Yeah, because you spread it pretty thin, right? Like there's only X amount of dollars people have, right? So you're doing this, it just doesn't really work. It's just, yeah. I get jealous of, like you were just saying, I can go to this game or that game or this game or that game. It's like, well, fuck.
Right. Well,
I got to go to a Bulls game. I got to fucking work. Yeah. Yeah.
I could go to a Bulls game. I could have gone to a Mavericks game, or I could be working. That was pretty cool where I was at last summer. So
let's call this half a second. I got 5 easy questions for you. Then we'll call her a night. Got to do a little sponsor thing, and we'll go from there.
All right, let's do it.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon Jerky.
Thank you very much to Righteous Felon Jerky for being a proud sponsor of Belly Up Sports and the 1420 Sports Bar podcast, Four Beer Sports Talk, and a whole lot more. The actual best jerky in the land. Go and find yourself some beef, dude. Righteous Felon Jerky. I got 5 easy questions for you, Adam. This is a great conversation. A lot of fun tonight. This is good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we should do
it. It's always a great conversation with you.
Yeah, we shall find a way to do this more often. Anyways, we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 easy questions and call her good. Favorite song? Favorite song?
So it's a song. It's a song called 2 a.m. by Slightly Stupid. One of our outfielders had it as his walk up, and every time I heard it, just would be stuck in my head on a loop. So it'd just kind of be like.
But that's recent. What's your favorite song?
My favorite song, Enter Sandman by Metallica.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie, Anchorman.
Favorite player growing up?
Paul Konerko.
He was really good.
He was.
Yeah.
Something about first base, White Sox first baseman being team captain and just overall good dudes.
Really good. Best memory as a kid, as a player, when you were, let's go, under the age of 13, playing baseball.
Getting to go to Cooperstown, New York, and getting the weekend I went to was when Cal Ripken Jr. and Tony Gwynn were inducted. So a lot of, there was a lot of buzz about that weekend, and getting to go to Cooperstown, New York. I've been wanting to go back ever since, because even at 12, you don't truly grasp just how cool that experience is until you get to be older and say, I went to Dreams Park in Cooperstown, New York, and I got to witness two of baseball's best get inducted to the Hall of Fame that weekend on TV. So it was pretty cool.
No, that's one that's on it's my bucket list, and the wife doesn't know this on our bucket list, but it's one of those things. I'm a Little League guy. That's one of my is to go to Williamsport and then to Cooperstown, and just to make it all whatever. It's brings a tear to my eye every year when you see those kids jumping around when they win in Williamsport. I mean, I couldn't imagine. Last one, but call her a night. Best ejection or worst ejection, or you got how you word it. as a manager, coach, not as a player, because whatever, players, they're dumb. But what's one ejection that she's on your highlight reel?
Oh man! Unfortunately,
and how many times have you been thrown out of games?
Total 5 games. All of them Western Canadian.
I think I kind of knew that, but whatever.
Gosh, I would say, oh man, I would say getting tossed in Swift Current. Not literally the night after I got tossed in Regina. I get tossed in Swift Current for throwing a towel on the field because an 0-2 breaker was called high. And then the kid, we were playing Weyburn, and the kid ropes a bases clearing double. This is when we were playing international extra innings, so running on first and second.
I hate it. But.
Kid ropes a double in the gap, scores both runs, puts them up 4 runs. They're all giddy and celebrating. I kind of just black out, and I see a white towel on the bench. I grab it. I just throw it on the field. And it was just like there was like a solid just like 5 seconds of like, what just happened? Why is there a towel on the field? I wound up getting tossed by a first base umpire. I think it was Marcus Corey. I go to home plate. I give him a piece of my mind.
The game was over.
No. This was like we were still playing. This was the 11th inning.
Mm-hmm.
We wound up scoring. So what happened afterwards? So I get tossed. I go to home plate. I give him a piece of my mind. I go walking back. I go to the clubhouse. I get my street clothes or showered, then street clothes, and I go behind home plate to the beer tent back there in Swift Current.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching the game from there. And we wound up winning the game 2 innings later. But just kind of just standing there in the beer tent, watching very intently, throwing a few chirps after. Just
you got 5 bingos in the WCBL.
Yes, 3 of them in my first season. Not particularly proud of them per se. I mean, except for the one. The first one, I mean, kind of deserved. I said the magic words. And I was given some leeway to get I was given some leeway because they kicked it.
Words?
I'm not gonna say.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
I said something to the effect of take the ski mask off. Take the ski mask off your face because you're stealing runs from us or something like that. Yeah. Just like, yeah, we'll see ya. And like I was so shocked because that was my first ever ejection. I'm just like, what do I do now? What do I do now? I'm like, well, okay, I'm gone. I might as well just go get changed and just kind of hang out on the hill in right field. And then, the second best one I would have to say was getting. It was 4th of July in Brooks, and there was a play. I swear our third baseman tagged him. They said he missed the tag. So I go out. I'm basically going out there because I know. Well, Rudy's already sitting on his second ejection, so if he would have been suspended if he had gotten another one. So I'm like, I got I got one. I haven't used one yet. Let me get this one. I just go out there. I'm like, go back to your dugout. I don't talk to assistants. Like, no, you're going to talk to me. We're going to talk. I'm like, I'm warning you. You better go. I'm like, no, you're going to talk to me right now. Boom. I just turn around. I'm like, how the hell do you miss that call 6 feet in front of you? How the hell do you miss that? Honest to God. Figure it out.
Once again, figure it out. Like I was saying earlier tonight, figure it out. I don't want to figure it out.
Let's figure it out. I don't know what it is. We've already had. It's just like we've already had an absolute. You've already caused a big enough stir in Okotoks a couple days prior, and now you're out here kicking balls 6 feet in front of you. Yeah. That was an interesting experience, and again, that was probably when I should have gotten tossed. I did get tossed because I was the only coach on the field, and I was given a lot of leeway. Now, thankfully, they let me rock and they let me say my piece because there were some shenanigans. I mean, your guy gets hit after both benches have been warned and your manager's already tossed because of what happened after. And then on top of that, it's just like you're already getting killed. And it's like he just drilled our player with 92 miles an hour. And you're not going to do anything when both benches are warned. You've already kicked off a shit show from pitch one. Like, at that point, I basically said my piece. They let me rock. I appreciate them for letting me say my piece. There were some 4-letter words being thrown about, but at the end of the day, not particularly proud about it, but it definitely makes for a fun story sometimes.
No, and those stories are fun. I mean, I in my WCBL years and since 2019, wherever it was, and I had two, and one was your old coach there, Rudy. I got him, and I was a little quick on that one. And then there was a kid from Weyburn. He was a little bit mad at me about pitch that may or may not have been outside. And I was like, whatever, man. Like, fuck off. But it's I've never been one to throw guys out of games. Like, say whatever. Like, just fuck. I missed it. You're shitty. Whatever. We're both shitty. We're both in the same fucking league. Whatever.
Right. Well, and also too, like I've come to understand too, like it's a bad look when you're that big of a nozzle, and you're just an absolute nozzle to the point where now you have to get kicked out because you decide to say the magic words, because you decided to kick dirt, because you decided to do this and that. I'm like, honestly, heat of the moment type of thing feels good, makes for a fun story. But like looking back on it, it's just like, why did I do that?
To get that mad, yeah, it's weird.
To get that mad,
it's weird. It's just, it's weird.
I mean, have I gotten that mad again? Yeah, I have, but like over like stuff that actually mattered, over stuff that actually like I probably had a good reason to be mad about, and to the point where, well, if nobody's going to say or do anything about it, I'm going to say my piece. You're going to know it. And on top of that, I do not care if you touch me.
Adam, you know what? I have full, if I fuck up, I have full, say what you want. Yeah. Say what you want, I'll eat it. I'll eat it.
Also, too, I think just a simple, like, come on. Like, let's figure this one out. Let's figure it out.
I can't change the call.
No,
I'll eat it. I'll try to be better. I'll figure it out. Like all coaches always say, I'll figure it out. But I ain't throwing you out because then I'm the asshole because I fucked up and now I'm holding you accountable and not taking accountability for myself.
Right. Well, and also
throwing guys out of games, all it does, it makes it. I honestly think it makes for hostility for tomorrow. What does it do you?
It just makes for a hostility that at the end of the day, it shouldn't have gone that way.
If you think I fucked up, tell me. Tell me.
Well, and it's funny too. I mean, how leagues handle it, is differently. You talk about the Northwoods being I saying, it's close to professional ball. You get tossed, it's a fine and a suspension, like your first one, whether you're a player or a coach.
That's wrong. That's not right.
Well.
And I'll tell you what, because umpires need to be held accountable for their fuck ups too.
Oh, absolutely, and it helps. But it also helps too.
I'm not an umpire hugger. I'm just saying, if you fuck up, you should be told you fucked up.
Well, and also too, it helps to have it helps to have multiple systems in place. You have an umpire auditor who can go out and say, hey, like, this is what I saw. Like, you didn't get your rotations correct. Like, let's work on those. Let's get better at that next time around. I know, and I've been in umpires' rooms before. I know how umpires talk. Like, hey, I should have done this better, or hey, how do you think we could have handled this situation better? But then also it's like to have, kind of a guy roving around the league and kind of like saying like, a third party who sees everything from the crowd and then kind of just goes ahead and says like, hey, this is what I saw. Let's get better at this.
Like missing a pitch here and there, it happens no matter what.
It happens, yeah.
It happens.
You might hear some barking, like that's not down, like that type of stuff.
I have a tough time with the high pitch for some reason. I don't know what it is. You'd be surprised like how many even major league umpires struggle with the high pitch. It's the high part of the zone that usually rarely ever gets correctly called. If the catcher catches it up there, I call it a strike. Good enough. Whatever. Right, yeah. But so, at the end of the day, like, you know what I mean? It's just, it's. I think that umpires get and I'm going to get killed by my friends on this and everything else. I think umpires get a free pass for being bad at times. Like if you mess up, you should be told you messed up. Like, I'm not saying go kick dirt in the guy and fucking tell him his wife sucks and his kids suck and everything else. Yeah, that's where when it gets personal, then okay, yeah, toss me. When it starts. When someone tells me that I fucked up, I'll say, "Oh yeah, you're probably right." Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. I had a guy last year. I was down in Havre, Montana for American Legion Northwest Regionals, and. They had the home team. They were actually a pretty good team. And they were down, 10-11, nothing in the fourth inning or something. Things just kind of went sideways. And there was what might or might not have been a balk. Runners on second and third. And he yelled at the coach, the third base coach, yelled at me, "Brent, that's a balk. That's a run." I said, "Well, you need 10 fucking more. Shut the fuck up." Like, so it's one of those things, right? Like, so there, and that's one thing that I think that, I mean, we could talk, I like talking to you. There's a flow with baseball, right? Yeah. With coaches and umpires and people and stuff and things that there's a dance to it all, right? Exactly. Because coaches screw up, players screw up, umpires screw up. There's a dance to it. And it works, and that's what makes the game so great. Absolutely. And on top of that, too, like, even if I'm salty to you one day, you toss me probably after a game or, game suspension, or I'm back the next game, it's back to square one. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you again. It's that a lot of times, the vast majority of the times, that animosity is just in that moment. And it's, because of how, especially in the higher leverage games, especially in the higher leverage situations where one call can affect everything, or where especially, it gets to a point where a game gets to a breaking point where between both teams being very hostile, and next thing you know, you have something that could be mistaken for, happening on purpose, or you could have, or maybe it did happen on purpose. Who's to tell? But like in that moment, next thing you know, now it's like, oh boy, now we have an absolute gong show on our hands, and that's the one thing I've come, and the biggest thing I came to realize this summer was just kind of the big one was definitely being more kind of being more level-headed, being more even-keeled. Because, yes, games matter. Yes, one game out of 72 does matter, but in the grand scheme of things, but every pitch doesn't matter. Right.
And you come to realize too, there are so many opportunities that happen in a game where you could have pulled ahead, where you could have, tacked on to a lead, but then all of a sudden you roll over, now it's a new inning, or now this other team is just beating up on you. It's like, where did we go wrong? Well, the umpires that didn't screw us. This is where we kind of screwed ourselves. We didn't throw strikes. We didn't. We weren't patient at the plate. We weren't on top of our game all 9 innings. And so, are there some bad calls? Absolutely. But rarely ever are they ever the back-breaking ones.
There was a call, and it meant nothing. Well, actually, it meant something to the kid batting, but remember vividly, there was this is fun. I quite like this. There was a check swing, July 19th, 2019. Caleb Warden going to be the MVP of the WCBL and blah, blah, blah. I called a swing, and he kind of gave me the stink eye, and he said something, and then Jesse, the coach of the Bulls, who we come to know quite well, he yelled something to me, and I motherfucked him back down the run, and it was done.
Mm-hmm.
And after the game was done, I asked my partners, I said, did he swing? They went, oh, no, not even fucking close. I said, oh. And they're like, that's not a big deal. And I said, well, no, it actually is a big deal, because all of a sudden a 1-2 count was a 2-2 count.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. Like, or 2-1 was should have been 3-1. It was a 2-2. I can't remember what it was. But it matters, right? And it was one of those deals. And gosh. Jesse Sawyer and Jesse had a bit of a reputation being a bit of a fucking hard ass WCBL Wimble back then.
Yeah.
And you just go, well, yeah. And then so after the next doubleheader, because it rained on the night before, we played a 2-game double, and I had Jordan from Edmonton that day too as well. So they were a bit of a handful, but. You remember Jordan, don't you?
I remember Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan Blundell. Jesus Christ, mad about everything, but
good to see Edmonton back in the league. That's happy for them.
So it's fun. It's funny that how every pitch matters to that kid, and that's what I try to tell like when umpires things and stuff, is that every pitch matters, and that's the great thing with baseball, like, because a 2-2 count can 3-2 count, right?
Oh gosh, So I got a story, real quick.
Yeah.
So we were on the receiving end of the no-hitter in Lethbridge.
Mm-hmm. Javier De Alejandro. Yeah.
I got tossed earlier that game. I think it was the 3rd inning. I got tossed, bottom of the 3rd. And I remember it specifically because Caleb.
You got tossed that early?
Yeah, I got tossed that. Well, it was bad because I think it was Oberg working home plate.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was Oberg working home plate, and I remember just kind of and it was. I mean, things were already like falling off the rails, and so Caleb Hayes up to the plate, got an 0-2 count.
Yeah.
Our starter throws a pit. I swear to God, it was like middle. It looked middle, probably a little bit high, but I saw Caleb swing. They go and appeal to the guy in the field. Nope, no swing. So naturally,
you got a little revved up.
I got pretty revved up. Considering, so I was trying to protect Rudy, because Rudy was starting to get a little fired up.
I like Rudy. I like Rudy a lot.
I love Rudy. And so he starts, chirping and whatnot. Brandon looks over to our dug. He starts staring at our dugout, kind of like giving the long. look, like, you good? And he just like, would you like to repeat that? And I basically said, go back to calling balls and strikes and do your job. Figure it the fuck out.
That's fair. Once again, figure it out. Figure it out.
Figure it out. I get the hook. So I go up to home plate. I start giving him a piece of my mind. Like, I'm like, how the hell do you fucking miss that? I saw his fucking barrel literally from my end of the dugout. How the fuck does any of these guys miss it? He's like, oh, I didn't miss it. I'm like, you want to see where you missed it? I go to home plate. I kick dirt over home plate. I'm like, right there. Figure it out. Fuck's sake. Quit fucking blowing the game. So I go back to the dugout. I hear, wrong way, Adam. I turn around. I'm like, with your sense of direction today, I'm surprised you fucking made it to the ballpark today.
That's not bad.
And I go behind, I go in the concourse, I grab my stuff. I make sure I take my dear sweet time at that point, just grabbing my stuff. And at that point, I was just like, there's so much more I want to do, but I'm not going to do it. I go marching behind the concourse and everything. I go to the clubhouse, get changed and showered. I come back out, and we get through the inning, top of the fourth, and I get to watch our shortstop get tossed by him on a strike three.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, our starting shortstop got tossed that game too.
What was his name?
Ryan Kusi.
Oh, good player.
Yeah. Great kid. Love him to death. I'm happy he's playing Division I ball over at St. Bonnie's. But I just like remember like watching him get tossed. I'm like, what did you even say?
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, like, what did you even say to him? He's like, that's not a strike. Under my breath, didn't even look at him. He's like, that's not a strike. Whoop, we'll see you.
Huh.
And then there was a little bit of extra, and I think there was a little bit of, this is the conspiracy theorist part of it. I think there was a little bit of cooking with the, with a certain play. I think it was, they marked a hit and error. It could have gone, frankly, it could have gone either way, but really should have been a hit. Again, I'm not the scorekeeper, but
yeah,
but I'm happy for the kid. He got a no-hitter.
And you know what? And Adam, Hobby's a good kid. Like he's a good kid. Like he's a nice. I don't doubt that. And that's something he can hang on his post. Like I'm not saying whatever happened that night, but Hobby's a nice kid. He actually,
absolutely.
He was a second team All-Star in the in WCBL this year. Like he doesn't throw hard.
He throws strikes.
He throws strikes and he works the plate and he's a good kid. I really, 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 really like Hobby. Yeah, he's a hybrid. How you doing? Good thing. You know, he's a good kid.
Yep.
I like him a lot. You know, he's good.
Yeah, no. And at the end of the day, that kind of completed a little bit of a cycle for me because that's the first time I've ever been no-hit.
Yeah.
Because the year prior, when I was with Swift Current, our starter, Isaiah Ayala threw a no-hitter against Weber in his last start. So it was kind of a full circle, well, now I've been no-hit type of deal.
No, it's fun. It's so fun. No, I'm happy that you had a great season in Kalamazoo. Like I missed you around the ballpark this summer to see your smile on face and everything else. It was a lot of fun getting to know you last year, and then now you had a great year in the West in the Northwoods League. So no, and thanks for coming on the show tonight. It was a lot of fun. And I lied. If you let me, I'd talk for another fucking 3 hours tonight.
I've got the time.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's such a fun part to be a part of it all. I think you probably feel the same way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, that's one of the biggest things I'm grateful part. Really, just like with every league I've been able to go to, the Western Canadian, a lot of great people. umpires, opposing coaches, all of that. And so same thing with the Northwoods League. And so really at the end of the day, that's the beautiful thing about baseball is just it's crazy how the catcher, the hitter, and the home plate umpire could be having a full-blown conversation and, they're trying to hit or they're trying to, trying to throw out runners. And it's just like, I don't think the average fan really understands just how talkative a lot of these guys are.
Well, you brought that up there, and we'll get out of here. But Jesus, last year in Okotoks, when I can't remember who they were playing. McMurray. McMurray actually won 2 out of 3 in the series there. They had good pitching stuff at one point there.
Oh, they did.
I was I cleaned the plate in the top of the 9th, and Okotoks catcher. I had a great story here. Now his name crossed my mind here.
Was it Logan Grant?
Caleb Lombard.
Oh, there you go.
Lombard. So I cleaned the plate, and I said, Caleb, this might be my last game. I'm thinking about not umpiring anymore. But I said, I want to tell you, because he does a CCBC, played in the Okanagan and everything else. I said to him, of all the games I worked in the last 4 or 5 years, you're probably my favorite guy to work behind. I said, thanks for it. Like, this has been a lot of fun. And then he looked at me, he goes, you know what, I've been thinking about that too. And he gave me a pat on the chest as he walked to his position. It's pretty cool. Like, it was really like a heart, like, maybe I'm waxing point and get a little bit teary-eyed, but no, it was pretty great. And the brotherhood and the camaraderie that all these teams and all these players have, it's second to none. Like it's hard, and how everybody's intertwined a little bit. This guy knows that guy, and that guy knows this guy, and everything else, right? It's great. It's absolutely great. I got to meet you, and then we're doing this, so it's great. It's absolutely so great. It's so fun. It's just
quick shout out to Jake Lindy, aka Cheese.
Yeah, Lindmeyer. He's probably thinking something stupid right now. Thinks every pitch is a strike, but whatever.
Yeah, no can or he's out. He's out getting tossed from games right before one of the most viral moments in probably summer ball, like one of the most viral moments in summer ball history happened when Lethbridge walked off Brooks that summer under the fireworks and all of that.
God. This is funny. I was in Parksville, BC for my brother's wedding. And he got married on July 2nd. And I was out drinking and having a good time on July 1st and didn't give a shit about WCBL one bit that night, which is odd. I wake up the next morning on July 2nd, and there's these fireworks going off, and it looks like a great moment. So then I texted a couple of umpire brother of mine, Cody Nelson, and who else was on there? Malacca were both on that, and who else? What the hell is his name? I should know. Matt Ben. they were all there. I said, hey, that was great. They go, oh, no, it wasn't. It really wasn't great. It was bad. It was really, really bad how it all turned out. But it was fun. That whole thing went viral. Like fireworks over the lake and everything else. It's like, oh, no, this isn't good. It wasn't good.
No, because you see what happened the pitch before.
And screaming and holy Christ. Just funny. Like, you cocksucker. So there's post-game ejections, and there was a lot of swear words flying around that night. It's just funny.
I'll bet it was. Especially when you look at the replay. I've seen plenty of videos of it from Jake. I'm like, how is he safe? It's just like, there's no way. And then next thing you know,
fireworks going off and people talking about, we got to get this game over with because there's this happening. Like, holy Christ. No, I laughed because it was like I said, my brother was getting married that day, and we were putting our tuxedos on in a hotel room in Parksville, BC. Like, oh, this looks fun. And no, it wasn't fun. It wasn't good. But only, and that's what the cool thing is that only X amount of people know the shitty stuff, right? Like the rest of it was just great. So yeah, like it looks like a magical moment and everything else. Anyway, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I could talk to you all night long, every night, all night, but it was got to end it soon. Adam, thank you very much for jumping on the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. It was a lot of fun. We'll get this out there, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a pleasure, man. It's always a pleasure getting to talk to you, whether it's on the baseball field or it's it's through your podcast. I'm happy we got to be able to do this again.
Yeah, we'll get it out there, and we'll do it. We'll do it again. Maybe we'll talk once the baseball playoffs are over, and we'll see what we're doing for next season. On and on it goes. Anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar podcast, 4 Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. Take care of each other. More importantly, take care of yourself. Keep your stick on the ice, and do not swing at high pitches. Adam, thank you very much once again, and we'll talk to you guys again very soon.
Take care.